What's up, guys? Just letting you know that we actually filmed Taste Tuesday already, and then we found out that Paris Games Week has started, and a bunch of trailers came out. So we did reactions to those. Those will be after the initial Taste Tuesday. If you want to skip forward to the reactions, do that. If you want to watch the rest of Taste Tuesday, do that as well. But yeah, we'll see you at the end of the video. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tasty Tuesday on Tasty Game, the show where we talk about gaming news. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
And all three of us are back. We're back from California. Chris is back from wherever he's been and probably doing a lot of studying.
His deep, dark cave.
Quick reminder that Plus Club is this Friday. We'll be talking about Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain, and Amnesia Collection. Hopefully you guys have been playing those. If you haven't, there's still time. We got to also play them a little bit more too. We'll be talking about them this Friday though, so come back for that conversation. And then next week we'll be talking about our game of the month of October, Overwatch, which I'm sure you guys have been playing. We've also played it, which was great. Probably should play a little bit more. But yeah, we'll be talking about that next Friday on Tastecast. And with that, because in the middle of this week we'll be going to next month, we're going to be picking our game of the month for November. Right? Mm-hmm. October, November, December,
yes.
November. We're going to be picking our there's a month coming, and there's going to be a new game we're going to be playing, hopefully. And yeah, we'll have more time because we won't be in another state that's 104 fucking degrees. What's the game of the month?
Titanfall 2.
Oh, I've been looking for an excuse to get this game.
This is the most excited I've been for a fucking game of the month in a while. I will definitely be playing this, hopefully. If you don't have this game, go buy it. They deserve it. The game's so fucking good.
They're actually... they just recently celebrated their 1 year.
Perfect. We'll be celebrating that 1 year as well next month. I'm going to actually be playing that quite a bit. Really excited to play that again. What do you guys think?
I mean, I bought the game, so I like it.
I've bought games.
I
bought Battleborn. I bought The Order 1886.
I also bought Battleborn. No, it's cool. Last time I even hopped on was to check out the defense mode, which is neat, but I'd like to play it more. And there's just a lot of content there I just have not seen, so that'll be cool.
And I know you've been wanting to play it, so we are going to do that.
It's bright and colorful, and even more colorful because you can make your characters colorful and bright and rainbow, which is probably counterintuitive to like fighting or shooting game.
Combat, yeah.
But
you move so fast in that game, the camo's not going to matter anyways.
Imagine in a war zone where there's like robots around shooting everybody. They're all like, gun metal gray, and then you got mechs running around. Then there's people fucking dressed like rainbows, with lights on them running by.
Everyone's gonna be like black, red, or like shiny gold, and then you're gonna see out in the distance purple and pink, and Chris going wee.
Just fucking ha 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 ha.
I'm sniping!
I'm trying to snipe.
Hold still!
Also, we made a video during the week we were gone. Make sure to check that out. That should have already been uploaded by now. We covered 3 topics that we probably shouldn't have covered because now we have less news to talk about this week. But yeah, we talked about news, we talked about Monster Hunter a little bit, and overall, it's just kind of a video of our California adventure, essentially. But yeah, with that, we have 3 bits of news. Pretty much all the same thing. You're not getting what you want. Yeah, so first bit of news. Sunset Overdrive sequel is not happening as of right now, but they'd like it to if they find someone to partner with them. The guy from there, that I don't have his name, said the Sunset is something that I know a lot of our fans talk about wanting to see the sequel. We need a partner for that. That's a big game. Sunset 2 would be a very large scope game. He also talks about how they've already pretty much planned out what the game would be. They just don't have a partner. It's also interesting to note that Microsoft does not own Sunset Overdrive. Insomniac Games does, and
Microsoft published it,
which is really well. A lot of times, though, they still would own that though. So it's really interesting to see that these guys could go anywhere if somebody wanted to make that game. It's also interesting to note that Microsoft is not partnering with them. So apparently, the first one did not do as well as they hoped for. What do you think about the potential for a sequel to that game and them finding somebody to publish it, essentially?
All they gotta do is add like excessive blood and lots of swearing, and Devolver will be all over that.
Probably.
I'm sure they'll be able to find a publisher.
Weren't they the guys who made the joke about the guys who made Dead Space? They said, if you guys ever want to make a game, that like parodies it, hit us up.
Probably.
Yeah, it was funny. Anyway.
If you ever want to just have a good time, follow Devolver Digital on Twitter. They're amazing.
Yeah, those guys are awesome.
No, yeah, they'll find a publisher. There's plenty of them out there. And right now, especially if they pitch a good enough idea, I really doubt, an IP that people know the name of is just going to disappear. I know it wasn't like this amazing title, but people know the name though.
Yeah.
So,
it's tough for me to say just because the game did not establish itself very well. Mm-hmm. When I played it, for some reason, I thought a lot of like Jet Set Radio, which was weird. I thought it was neat, but it didn't really do it for me, and I didn't hear a whole lot of people talking about the game. The people who did play it though liked it quite a bit, but it's one of those exclusives for Xbox that like just didn't nail it. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if we never heard from this game again. But what you said, if they pitched a game that was new and exciting, still maintained the flamboyant atmosphere and colorful vibrancy of the whole game, but create some new elements to the game to get people excited for it, co-op, I think they'd have a chance. I've seen crazier shit happen. I mean, they're making that French game, the sequel. No, it's got the animals. It's an Ubisoft game. Anyway, Beyond Good and Evil 2. They're making that. I didn't think that would ever happen. So, crazy shit's happen. Chris, Chevy, anybody.
Somebody.
I've never played the first one. I only remember briefly hearing about it back in the day. It's the one with the guy that covered the rocket launcher that's like a bazillion barrels on it, right?
You didn't play it because it launched when 5 people owned Xboxes.
So, still 5 people?
Well, I mean, 2
3 of them
in
liked
this
it.
room.
I've never heard anything about it. And from a business perspective, they said they have the game all kind of fleshed out how they want it to be. A partner's not going to want that. They're going to want to have their... I'm not saying that they're not going to allow people to have their input, but it sounds like they've got what they want the game to be like already planned out. And no one's going to want to jump in there and be like, okay, you tell us what to do. We just work on it.
Yeah, but I mean, just like a movie, if you have a good enough idea and they see that they can make money off of it, they're definitely going to do it. They're going to want input, though. That's why I'm surprised Microsoft didn't own this game.
Right.
Because Microsoft typically cancels games that Platinum Games is working on.
Well, it sounds like from the...
I like how that's the typical MO.
From the logistics of it, they
They
don't
don't
have a super productive or well thought out game because no one's biting at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also not a small company.
Yeah, Insomniac's been
They
around
make
for a while.
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
I mean, I'd almost like to see Sony take it up because I mean, we were actually talking about this recently, and it'd be an interesting topic to talk about further on Tastecast and like that. But recently, Xbox has been talking about single player games is the future of them. Is it going to work? Blah blah blah. You can
It's
give them money.
complicated.
You can give them money for Game Pass, and they'll make single player games happen somehow. But then we're talking about it. There's a shitload of single player games that came out this year, like a shitload of them, and they were all stellar. So if anybody's showing that single player not only works but is thriving right now in 2017, it's Sony. So I mean,
and Ubisoft.
and Sony. I mean, they've worked with Insomniac already. So if they had a good enough idea, I'm not saying just do it because you know them. Like I said, I played the first one. I thought it was okay. It definitely could have been improved. I would love to see them be able to make a game they're passionate about. If they're thinking about a sequel, obviously they want to make it. So they like the first one enough to make it. So that's kind of neat. I thought, though, like I said, visually it's a really cool looking game. Mm-hmm. It's just how many open world games are there, and what do you do to differentiate?
Well, the other thing they could do too, which a lot of companies will do, is you start a Kickstarter or crowdfunding up for it. And it's not to actually pay for the game as much as go, hey, we've raised blank amount of money, and the publishers go, oh, there's a demand then.
Yeah, it's in good faith. Hey, there's obviously people who want this game. Look at the money that we've made. Yep. And then someone goes, okay, yeah.
And they pay for the rest of it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Kind of like Shenmue 3.
Yep, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, in the end, I hope it does work out for them, and I hope they have work. I hope Insomniac's doing fine, because I don't know what they're working on right now.
The Ratchet and Clank game?
Probably.
Maybe.
They made that one, and
They also
I
made
liked
2
it.
VR games recently.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for PC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts on Xbox making single-player games?
Buy Xbox.
They're not going
Oh,
anywhere.
they're just going to die off.
Microsoft's doing just fine.
Yeah, they're fine. Although this whole experience with them has been humbling to the point where they're like, Sony's doing great. You guys are doing good. We'd love to play games with you. Oh, Nintendo, they're legendary, blah, blah, blah. When they used to be like, hey, we're the fucking best. Fuck you guys. That was back on the 360 era. And they were. They were the best for a little bit.
For sure.
Second bit of news. Another game that is not coming out. With no intentions of it coming out.
None for you.
World of Tanks, very popular, free-to-play online tank shooter that has 130 million players on PC, which is crazy.
Yeah, the game's huge.
They were asked on an AMA and also at PAX Australia by GameSpot if they're going to be working on World of Tanks 2 at all. They straight up said no. I mean, they're like World of Tanks 2? No. He added that it's this constant evolution that's been a hallmark of the game. It doesn't really make sense to us to make a second game. They believe in the kind of games, online games as a service, more than they made a game that needs a sequel.
You're gonna hear that more and more.
And they wanna just keep evolving the game. What do you guys think about them just continuing the game that's already successful? What do you think about other games doing the same thing? We've talked about this a couple times with other games. Rainbow Six Siege, I think, is a game that would benefit from just continuing and not necessarily make a second one until they have a new thing.
I think when people are making their games, they have this idea of, am I making a series or am I making a service, right? And in this
MMOs.
MMOs are services. And a lot of these other games that have come out since, even to use like Ultima or EverQuest for older examples, have evolved into what they did, and then MMOs kind of died off, but all the ideas of MMOs has trickled down into a million types of games at this point too. I mean, look at Destiny is a prime example of that, or Warframe, or any of those games. They're all very heavily inspired by MMOs, and to be games that are meant to be services. So
Warframe is the epitome. We talk about constantly, but it's the epitome of a game that's evolved as a service that is constantly ever changing. Plains Eidolon has changed the game essentially, and it's been changed before.
So, and yeah, they're a prime example of like what these guys are saying. Like, all you have to do is just keep working on the same game, even if it takes you redoing the code, which DE does all the time, optimizing it to run better so that you can run it on a toaster if you want to. So,
yeah, this is something I've always really backed and wondered why some people don't do it, because there's a lot of games. Essentially, I think one of them, before recently, because Black Ops 3 had a pretty good single player, but I was wondering why, aside from making money, Call of Duty doesn't just become a service with map packs, different modules to have the packs, jet packs, and running on walls, or just play normal. They already have those set up in the modes. It's always been a game that I'm like, a lot of people complain it's the same thing every year, which is not quite, but it's similar. That you could just every year unleash new maps and guns and all that shit, and just keep growing it out. And like I said before, Rainbow Six Siege, I feel like I don't need a sequel to that anytime soon. The game plays great. Keep making new operators. That's the new innovative part of it, and keep the formula that people are still playing and loving. There's so many games that really lend themselves to that. It's like games like single player games that you want a sequel to, because it's going to be a new story, new characters, new features, stuff like that. So I think it's smart. I'm glad to hear them go. It doesn't make sense to us, because it doesn't make sense to me either. A lot of people make sequels to games that don't need sequels yet. A lot of free-to-play FPSs I've played came out with sequels that nobody gave a fuck about. I believe there's Combat Arms 2 and like Soldier Front 2 and shit like that. Those came out, nobody played them. So to think of another free-to-play game like this coming out with World of Tanks 2 when they have 130 million people playing the fucking game, no point.
The other example of that too would be like, if you do have a game as a service, I mean, eventually you're going to want to make a sequel, because eventually
down the road, once outdated,
the tech
sure.
is just going to get so outdated you can't do anything with it anymore for modern gamers, and people are going to get fed up with it. They're going to move on to something newer. So at that point, yeah, but I mean, you can easily run a game. Look how many games have done it for 10 years. You can easily do that. So it seems like a long time, but I mean, it really kind of flies by. So.
Yeah. Let's get your thoughts on this.
I was going to say there's just something to be said about sometimes having a sequel for games, especially games that are competitive like this, because if you just keep drawing the game out over and over and over again, I mean, a lot of these games, I haven't played World of Tanks, but have like a system where you start off with like this base tank, and as you level up, you get access to stronger and stronger weapons. So if the game just keeps drawing out, you don't really get new player base, which is like where a lot of money eventually comes from. Is get the new player base. Sure, you get some from the revenue from the older player base, which is your steady income, but that boost in sales comes from newer players, and you're not going to get that if the level cap is infinite and these people have these tanks that just one-shot your character in one go. So I think there's something to be said for eventually making a sequel. Are they at that point right now? I don't know. I haven't played the game.
I believe the game's been out for like 7 years.
It's been out for a while, yeah.
Yeah. And I've recently started playing World of Warcraft again, and I can say that from my experience, back when I used to play in vanilla compared to now, I think it could have done with being relaunched as a sequel. It's just trying to go back through all the old world content because I just wanted to level a new character, and it's just a drag. It just goes on and on and on and on and on.
That's the interesting thing. I think WoW's a really good example. Is like every time an expansion comes out or a couple expansions, it almost seems like that becomes the new starting point.
It is.
And that's the
to do
game.
that.
And all the old stuff is kind of like legacy shit.
It just gets thrown to the wayside and it just sits there and rots, which is really unfortunate because there's a lot of great content
There's
there.
a lot of content, that people are not experiencing anymore.
I mean, the leveling isn't like as bad as it used to be, but it is still a drag to catch up to where everything is, and it's just they should have relaunched the game, I think, at this point as something like a sequel. I don't know. It's hard to say because I still enjoy playing the game.
And see, when we're talking about sequels or whatever, I kind of laid it out for me that like a sequel is typically needed for me, especially in single player games, because just adding on constantly to a single player game, it stops becoming a single player game. It becomes more of like an added on like a single player MMO or something.
Right.
But, games do need sequels eventually, but to do a sequel just because it's expected, because technology's gotten a little better or whatever, I don't think you need to do that, because if the game still has people playing it and still fun and has like a simple like Rocket League. Rocket League doesn't need Rocket League 2 anytime soon. Yeah. The game is charming looking, it plays really well, people play it for the competitive aspect of moving the fucking ball around. They add new modes. There's no reason to make a second one until that game looks like complete shit in like 8 years.
Right, because there's no incentive to level. Yeah. I mean, there is just because you want to get that sense of achievement, but you're not getting any bonuses of like your car goes faster, your car's loot. Yeah.
Well, and they don't need to add like any new features that game could possibly need are things that they can easily just add as a mode.
Right.
It's not like, new technology came out and now they can add physics to the suspension of the cars. The game's not meant for that kind of shit.
Apparently I'm not breathing well. I'm just yawning. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm still pretty tired after that trip. So yeah, it's just like when either the player base is going down or like the technology is so far ahead now that it's finally time to just upgrade the graphics. Or if the game actually needs mechanics changed with a newer engine, whereas like a game like World of Tanks 2 or World of Tanks doesn't need a new engine anytime soon. What are they going to do? Make like more better looking destruction on the tanks, which would be cool, but it's not needed. Nobody's playing the game for that.
Right.
So I think it's smart in the game like that. Just maintain it. They're doing fucking awesome. So why make a second one?
And a game like
PUBG. Third bit of news. Creators of PUBG were essentially asked a couple times by different people if they are going to put a single player mode in PUBG. They said no. So what he said was, because of the lore of the island, there was an idea that I had for what I thought would be a pretty cool single player mode. He said, and even co-op single player campaign, we have no resources, we have no time, we have no plans to add anything like this to the game. No single player is coming to Battlegrounds. Yeah, so I mean, obviously they're busy at work with PUBG. It's very popular, another very popular game, as we've talked about many times. And yeah, they say like, maybe someday, but as of right now, there's absolutely no plans to make a single player. He even said that it'd be cool if they could do it. They just don't have the resources to do it.
Sure.
What do we think about the definitive no answer to a single player of a game that was not designed for a single player campaign?
I think it makes complete sense. I don't know why you would expect it to have a single player game when it launched as a multiplayer game. If it's something like that in the future and ends up being good, awesome. But why would you want them to just slap one on there? It doesn't make sense to me. Fortnite's a little bit of a different story because it started off as a co-op game and then they added the multiplayer mode to it, but it was still in development. Like they're still figuring out what it was. So it's a different story. This game's established. There's people playing it for a reason. They're adding more modes to that. I think it was vaulting and
Climbing.
Mechanics, yeah.
Yeah. So I could see like they got to be able to implement new features without busting the balance of the game right now. They're not a large team, so yeah, why would they thin themselves out to make a single player experience for? It's too much of a gamble. I get it. So
Yeah, I don't know why they do it either. Just because it's a small team, they made a multiplayer game based off a mod that's really popular, and it did great. And they need to keep working on that, make new maps, make new features, make that last as long as they can, 10 years, and not make a sequel. Because that game lends itself to not necessarily needing a sequel. It's literally what it is. You run around an island and shoot each other. It's always interesting because I get people like to only play single player games. Some people like to only play multiplayer games. I like to play it all, and I see merit in both of them. But certain games just don't need it. Rainbow Six Siege definitely doesn't need a single player. It already has an awesome multiplayer and co-op. The game was designed for that. The whole game's engine, being able to go through walls, stuff like that, it would be cool in a single player, but it was meant for strategic, choke points.
it's meant for you to verse humans.
Exactly. So, it's whatever. If they added it, that'd be cool. If they didn't, that's fine. Same thing with PUBG. I can't imagine them going like, let's make this make sense. Let's make a storyline out of why you're on this island shooting each other. There's 100 of you on this island. Well, it's going to be Battle Royale. Like, fucking, you just go watch that movie. The only time I've seen somebody clamor for a single player in a multiplayer game was Titanfall. And that one makes sense to me just because these guys come from making Call of Duty, which before the guys left Infinity Ward to make Respawn,
I'll say before.
they made amazing single player campaigns of like World War II and Modern Warfare.
Yep.
And then they made Titanfall that had like a campaign and a really cool, intricate like universe and story that wasn't being shown. So they put all this work into a storyline for Titanfall, but they didn't get shown off. So when people were like, "Hey, it would have been cool to like actually get a storyline," they fucking did it and they nailed it. It's awesome. In a situation like that, I get it. There's lore there. Let's dive into it a little bit. But lore in PUBG, like fucking. All right, you're going on an island. You got 99 other people out there who are gonna fucking try and kill you. Once you're dead, you're dead. Fucking, this is your story.
Yep, just watch Battle Royale.
Battle Royale, or watch Hunger Games if you're into that shit.
Chris,
Thoughts? I was kind of losing myself there. I'm tired.
I don't play competitive shooters, very often.
I'll say yes, you do.
Very often. Single player. I label it single player because you're not on a team.
Yeah.
I guess you can be. But anyways, I don't play shooters like this very often.
Yeah.
So the appeal of a single player campaign is there for me. I get what you're saying though, that there's no like
what
lore
would you,
for it.
I get 100% where you're coming from, absolutely, and I understand that. But what would you want from PUBG in that sense? Just as a person who would want that.
I would like to see like backstory. I don't know much about the game, so I can't really dive too deep into like the lore of it or whatnot and be too drawn into it. But like versus AI, so I can get like a feel of how the game's supposed to be played out, and so I can kind of practice against opponents that aren't necessarily just gonna like instantly destroy me and like talk smack to me the whole time.
Just hide in the bush.
I do that anyways in games, and it
That's
doesn't work
what
out.
a lot of people do.
Well, and if they add like bot support, that's fine. But like, I'm thinking like single player campaign. Like, what would it
not single player
of?
mode. Single player
Campaign. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know much about the lore of the game itself. If there is any, none.
I don't think they thought of that.
I think
they might have now, but
it might be neat to see some sort of lore that they came up with. If they had the resources, which if they're like the top selling game on Steam, I think they can hire some resources if necessary. If they feel like this is the route they want to go, I don't think it's too far out of the stretch.
if I was them, I wouldn't.
Back into the game.
Right.
I wouldn't. If my game was this popular based off what I already made, I would just make that better and better and better.
Especially
Not spend
when
money on single player.
competition popped up and is doing also very well. So
Right.
Yeah, Fortnite's doing pretty good right now, and
I still see people like, hey, I think about playing this game. People are like, do it. So I mean, like,
well, they just added progression leveling
Yeah.
in it and rewards, which is something PUBG doesn't really have. So they're they're being competitive. They're changing the game up. So
Yeah. Sorry.
should be. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, though. Like I said, I think it's really contextual based off of what game we're talking about and what's there to offer. Like, Overwatch doesn't have a single player
Would
campaign.
be neat though because they got a lot of
That
backstory.
is a game that has lore.
Yeah.
So I would be interested in seeing, kind of like, I'm bringing it up again, and I know people are going to want to kill me for this comparison, but like a Call of Duty type thing where like you go from one character and you play like a chapter from them, and then go to another character from Overwatch, play a chapter of them, and just kind of go through. I think it'd be cool to be able to play the characters, have their moves, but also get storyline.
Right.
And Blizzard has the resources to absolutely make that happen.
Well, they could very easily do. Now we're making a game.
We do it all the time.
Where they do the past,
we need to learn how to program.
and you play through one person's story, and then you go through, and it's just a match of Overwatch against bots at that point, right? And you're playing as one team versus the other, but it fits in the story. Like,
That'd be a cheap way to do it. There's
They've
been games
kind
that
of done that. They did the anniversary event where you played as Tracer.
and you got
Reinhardt.
the old school skins and stuff. I'm just saying, if they wanted to make a single player campaign, it wouldn't be that difficult for them because they wouldn't even have to change the gameplay.
Right. Because like right now they do backstory with comic books.
Yeah.
Online digital comic books.
And they could just do that essentially with cutscenes and then just bot fights.
Yep.
Or even if they really wanted to, let people queue up to play as the other people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd actually kind of hate if they did that route though, just because I've seen other FPSs just have like a storyline, and then you play against people, and then Titanfall. There's no other game that did that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting the way they did it. It's just they nail it. But yeah, I've seen games have like pseudo storylines and you just fight against bots. I can't think of any on top of my head right now, but I've played a couple, and they just feel cheap. So I would really love if they were to do that, to actually make a full-on campaign with like cool set pieces and cutscenes and shit while you're shooting whatever you would be shooting. I know there's all those robots and shit. I don't know the lore of Overwatch. It's something.
Yeah, the Omnics.
But yeah, that's a game that I think could lend itself to it. But PUBG, I don't think
There's
needs
no
one at
lore
all.
based into it to give you a single player
It's a simple premise, and it's fun to play, and that's. I mean, you don't need a fucking campaign for Tetris. It just works and it's fun. So, yeah. Any last?
I think that's actually perfect comparison because that game was designed for a purpose.
Yeah, and it is a single player game and multiplayer, but it's a game that it's just mechanics. It's just a game to have fun with. So, any last words on single player campaigns and multiplayer games, or anything else we talked about?
No.
All right, let's know in the comments. Do you want to see a single player campaign in PUBG?
Nope.
If so, let me know how that would go about, what you want from it, not to be opposing. I'm actually very curious because I can't think of anything. But yeah, let's know anything you think about anything we said. Bunch of shit. Were you in California during the heat wave? It was awful. I almost died. I didn't. Yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of Taste Tuesday on Tasty Loot Gaming. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. So as I said before, Paris Games Week has started, and Sony came out and showed off a shitload of trailers, all really exciting. And to be transparent, we have seen a lot of these already. It was kind of hard to not watch The Last of Us 2 trailer. As soon as I woke up, saw it on Twitter, I was like, fuck, I have to see this. So we're mostly going to be discussing these trailers. Mostly a couple of these I haven't seen fully all the way, but yeah, we have 5 trailers we picked out of the many. We got Ghost of Tsushima, Spider-Man, God of War, Last of Us Part 2, and Monster Hunter, of course. So sit there with us and watch these, and yeah, let's get into it. Now, Ghost of Tsushima is being made by Sucker Punch, which are the guys who made the infamous series. Kind of a departure of what they normally have been making. I've been curious on what they've been working on this whole time. I thought they kind of went under, so kind of cool to see them come out with something. Let's check it out. I'm actually really happy to see, first off, a game based in Japan with samurai, but secondly, a company like Sucker Punch that I've always thought was a very talented AAA company. The games I'm not such a big fan of, Do something different. We saw
Samurai.
Guerrilla Games do something different, and it worked out big time for them.
Oh yeah, no,
I can see
I appreciate Infamous. I've never been a huge fan though. So,
Yeah.
but
trained.
as I have emphasized in prior episodes, huge sucker for anything samurai. So,
And one thing about this trailer that I love is it kind of encapsulates the whole Japanese samurai feel, the quietness, the
Do you know how I
the
prepared for
beauty.
today?
I actually really love this trailer. I think it's really fucking cool.
oh yeah, no, I
Learned.
had a pretty bad
I know
nerdgasm
your
on this.
language,
Yeah.
your tradition,
It just has like an authenticity to it that you don't really see
your
in
beliefs.
games. But you don't really get any like AAA samurai games.
I'll say all the scenery and scenes they picked for
fire.
this trailer too. I could stare at them all
So I'll ask
day.
you once again, Samurai. Do you surrender?
It's kind of a ninja vibe going on.
Whoever was in charge of their trailer design,
No, it's really good. And if that's gameplay, I'm fucking excited.
I guaranteed at least the drop down was gameplay, and it was gorgeous.
Even the running at the horse and hitting it, that was so fucking cool looking. Let's talk about this real quick. Obviously, we've already been saying it looks fucking awesome.
Oh yeah,
Samurai stuff, Japanese stuff. It has an authenticity to it. I think the trailer was done really well. I really like the setup of it. I like the end, kind of showcasing that something bad's happened, and he's seems like going after revenge. And then the slight little gameplay looks like it's going to be visceral and action packed.
yeah. I this game would have to be like really bad for me not to pick it up. I think even
Yeah.
if that game got reviewed at like 5.5s and 6s, I'd probably still pick it up just because of how much I like samurai stuff. But it'd have to have some pretty glaring faults. That being said, I really look forward to it, and I really hope that they do a Guerrilla Games and just stepping out, doing new IP, getting re-excited, excitement to make a game again. Because, I mean, I imagine making a franchise for a long time wears you out.
I would say that's the case with almost all developers. I mean, I'm always excited to see, obviously, something successful, carry it on, make it better and better. But don't just be known for the one game, like Gears of War or something like that. Branch out, show that your talent is not only within that property, but you can do other things.
Yeah.
Like I said before with Guerrilla Games, like Killzone's always been really well-made games, really cool, blah blah blah. But by the third one, we get it. You're going to other planets and shooting people in gray scale areas. Then they made Horizon Zero Dawn, and it's a complete departure, and it's a better game all around. So I really hope this game is just fucking awesome, and I can go,
Me
you know
too.
what? They used to make Infamous, and those games were fine, but this is fucking where they're at now. So really excited for it. Next video is Marvel's Spider-Man. I've seen a little bit on this already. Not this trailer, but they showed some, I think, at E3.
Yep.
And this is being made by Insomniac Games, which is funny because in the episode Taste Tuesday, we talked about Insomniac for a second. I was actually saying I wonder been wondering what they've been doing, and apparently it's been this. I knew that. I just spaced out on that. But yeah, AAA Spider-Man game. It's looking a lot like Spider-Man 2, which is a good thing.
It's also the company that makes Ratchet and Clank. If you've ever played those, they're really fun games.
An imagination,
Yeah.
which is something that comic book games need. So yeah, let's get into it.
You haven't seen this one?
I watched a little bit of it, but I didn't watch the whole thing.
Oh, okay. I'll kind of keep my mouth shut then until the video's done.
With Fisk behind bars, what's next?
And the city's safer than ever. Maybe Peter Parker can have more of a life.
It's interesting because like
Are you in trouble?
wow, she looks really good.
No, I mean, I'm a little behind on my rent, but
I was gonna say the game looks kind of cartoony but realistic, but that was straight up fucking realistic looking.
It represents.
This is a gorgeous game. Games are getting
Miles
disgusting.
is gonna be helping out around here.
For acts of extraordinary bravery. I'm the one who kept order in this city.
What is
Like
this?
how he's huge, but like kind of in a realistic
Your
way.
city
Yeah.
and everything you care about will be destroyed. People will beg you for help.
Oh, Peter's
but you
sense is
won't be able
tingling.
to save them.
That's an awful sentence.
Get more backup.
Obviously, some kind of crazy terrorist shit's going on. I'm not sure who that is. Let me know.
Mr. Negative.
Mr. Negative. Never heard of him. Let me know in the comments anything you know about Mr. Negative.
We've got to play this just right.
This game is gorgeous. I think it's an interesting choice, the suit they picked for him, though.
It's kind of a blend between the movies and I'm sure there's a comic
Maybe
based off
the
of
city
it
needs
when
our
it comes to
friend
comics,
more
but
than you think.
kind of their own flair.
This looks fucking crazy.
Anyone else need a breather?
Si, senor. Yeah. So, that was awesome. That was even better than the first one. The first one actually showed gameplay though, which is really. I mean, that showed gameplay, but like actually showed like them playing the game. And
This
that
is
was
emphasizing storyline,
which
though.
is cool because I always like to see gameplay, but also want to know what the fuck's going on and why you're going to be playing it. I'm excited for this. I already want to buy it, which is awesome because Spider-Man games have been kind of shitty for a long time. So that's awesome. And yeah, Insomniac needs to come out with something that's well received. So I'd love to see that happen.
The last Ratchet and Clank was well received.
Was that Insomniac that did the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the case of Sunset Overdrive.
Oh yeah. I always it's funny because I always thought Insomniac was a Sony company, and they're not.
Yeah.
They just Sony publishes a lot of their games. Well, Ratchet and Clank, I should say. They recently, I know, did a couple VR games on PC, but I think the Spider-Man and Insomniac games is a great mix, anyways, because like we said earlier, Insomniac Games is a very imaginative company. Ratchet and Clank is a super fun series, and it already is like an action game with humor in it. Spider-Man is an action genre with humor, so I mean, I think it's a perfect fit. That trailer I loved. It kind of solidified me wanting it. I wanted it when I heard they were making it, just because I was like, this is a good match.
I was kind of on the same page, but then seeing the gameplay, I was like, now I know I want it because I've kind of gotten accustomed to not getting excited about Spider-Man games for a long time because they started ever since the third one that came out after 2 was ridiculous.
Well, I think this is also promising in the regards to that, because Disney owns Marvel now, and it's just very blatantly had the Marvel stamp in the title too.
Yeah.
So I think money wise, they're probably getting assistance there on that too. So
Yeah. Yeah. So super excited for that. Which is awesome because I have loved Spider-Man for a long time, like everybody else. So it's nice to get something good out of it.
Another thing I kind of noticed too is it looks like this. Obviously, Spider-Man has moved out. He's older. Mary Jane already knows Peter Parker, Spider-Man. At least it showed in that. And
So it's post-origin.
and it looks like this might be the passing of the torch to him because Miles was in the trailer too.
And then it showed him in the other one too.
And I know currently in the comic books, they're both Spider-Man. So,
yeah. Might be able to play both of them.
That would be neat.
Yeah, except for I don't know what would really differentiate them in gameplay other than different personalities.
I don't know anything comic-wise, so yeah, that's a huge who fucking knows. But for me,
it would be kind of neat though, and smart on their part if they started the game out as Peter Parker and then, like you said, pass the torch to Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Because that way, a lot of people are always worried about using him because there's obviously a fan base that's really into him, but there's most people who aren't necessarily into the comic books that much who are into Peter Parker or at least know Peter Parker. So it'd be a good intro to transition into a new Spider-Man without just going, hey, we have a new Spider-Man. and he's different, you're not going to buy our game now.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, what the fuck? They changed it, even though anyone who follows comics even slightly knows that whole story. So if they were to do that, it'd be a smart way to do it. Let's know in the comments. What do you think about who you're going to play as, if they're going to play as both or whatever. Third video is God of War, another game that I'm actually really surprised I'm excited about. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first three.
I'm in the same boat.
But they were always very impressive spectacles of games. They were done really well.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just, wasn't into the whole fucking
Testosterone fest.
Yeah, and fucking chicks, like, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, like seeing the original trailer for this one, I was just like, wow, they're actually taking a whole new direction. Kind of has a Last of Us vibe to it.
A little bit, yeah.
I like the whole companion thing, having your son with you on this journey and fighting these mythological monsters. Has a kind of a Nordic vibe to it. Really fucking cool. So, yeah. Any thoughts on this before we watch it?
No. I already watched this trailer, so I will wait till the end. I've watched them all. I couldn't help it.
Again, gorgeous game. Games are getting too good looking.
That's a soul eater. If that kills us, that's it. No Valhalla, no hell, no afterlife, ever.
It does not attack.
Mom made them sound more dangerous than that.
Then do not drop your guard. Come.
I feel like you're almost going to have like the kid being like the charm and the connection to the players in the game, and him essentially being Drax and having that like polarity of personality versus lack of personality. They'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Combat looks awesome.
That's always their strong point.
Yeah, but before it just seemed so like hack and slashy, and this like he threw that thing into his head, bounced off of him.
I love the dynamic too, because it's almost like his son is forcing him to mellow out.
Yeah.
So, because he has something to actually give a crap about now.
That doesn't sound like a soul eater. What do you think it is?
We shall see, boy.
It's the Jiggle Billy. Yeah, I mean, in stories like that, there always is somebody kind of adds some humanity to someone who's lacking it. It's just like the whole redemption storylines or like revenge or something like that. There's always something that they're growing towards that you want them to triumph over. And so someone who's disconnected like that, it's always nice to see them kind of, I mean, just like Last of Us with Joel essentially being anti-attachments to anybody, grow to like Ellie. So yeah, it's always a good storyline, plot. But yeah, that game, it was cool to see like just gameplay. It's really short, but the combat looks awesome. I like it a lot better. It seems less like, you're zoomed out, running around, just swinging chains everywhere, and everything's just dying around you, and more like, not quite Dark Souls, where you're still like more closer in the combat, like moving around and hitting people and stuff. It was interesting to see the effects on the axe when he's swinging it. So obviously there's going to be some magical type stuff in it. Yeah, the biggest thing about these games too, though, is like I'm really curious about the lore. Everything, it seems so interesting and imaginative, and like the things that they're running into and all the mythological monsters and just their whole journey.
Well, and as much as I'm not a huge God of War fan, God of War did have a continuing story through the 3 games.
Yeah.
So they do have a story to continue off of, which is cool. And I've watched all 3 of those games. I played them a little bit, but like I'm not huge into them, but I have seen them to completion. And the stories were interesting enough, but they were never like amazing. I think with the time they've taken to make one, and just the way that specifically like the gaming industry has changed, especially in the storytelling department and stuff like that, and the expectations kind of too, that they've it looks like they've taken leaps and bounds to just take something they already had a good formula for action and stuff like that, and they just worked on everything else. So
it's always interesting too to see a company that's been around and making games for a while mature the same way like a band does or a director will. They always start out with something really flashy and crazy to kind of get attention, and then as they go, they kind of perfect their craft. We saw with Naughty Dog making Crash Bandicoot, which was a fun game that was zany and people liked it back in the day. And then they made Uncharted, which, you know, kind of took ideas from some other adventure games and kind of made a name for them. Then they made Last of Us, which in my opinion is a masterpiece. These guys, they made God of War, which was just these like cool action games that people were really into.
Over the top action.
They grew to like God of War 3, which was a fucking spectacle, epic game.
Yeah.
And then this seems like they're matured. They took all that idea and now they're moving it into a more cinematic experience that will probably be more impactful, I'm assuming. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how that game turns out. So far, every game we've watched so far, I want to buy like day one. So
this whole list that you have here,
yeah. I mean, and we there was other videos too, and like there's Detroit Become Human. I watched that. That trailer's fucking cool, but it's more of the same, showing you how many different ways you can go.
So many choices.
A lot of choices, which is awesome. Yeah. Very excited for that game. Then also Far Cry 5 looks fucking awesome.
The co-op.
So excited for that fucking co-op. For every mission in the game, you just play the whole game with somebody. Far Cry's already really fun. It was really fun, and 3 to play with people, and 4 to play with people. So Primal didn't have co-op, but should have. So really excited for that. There's so many good games coming out next year.
Yeah.
I can't keep up. Something we are keeping up with, though, we've been keeping up for a while. A lot of you are here for this. Monster Hunter World. They showed off, first off, that the beta is coming out December 9th for PlayStation Plus. So we'll probably be talking about that whole month on Tastycast. But also, there's going to be a DLC coming out where you can actually dress your character and have her face, Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, which is interesting to see that crossover.
Yeah, Guerrilla Games actually gave assets to the team.
Yeah.
So,
and then also you can dress up your cat as one of the little robot raptor
spy
guys.
Ones,
yeah, which I think is really neat. So that's a really cool crossover. It's not anything new for Monster Hunter to be doing crossovers, but it is really neat to see them kind of being at home with Sony and embracing not the handheld area, but like consoles now. You know, like Horizon. Let's take some of that shit and put it in the game.
And I just love that Guerrilla was just like, yeah, here, you know.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, with the beta, there's going to be 3 missions you can play, both single player and co-op. So there's going to be some different variety to play in the beta. So really excited for December 9th, just a month before the game comes out. So we got plenty of Monster Hunter to keep talking about until it comes out. But yeah, so the other trailer they showed off for the event was for Rotten Vale, which is a whole new area. I know a couple of you guys hit us up in the comments, which we appreciate, letting us know this came out. I have not watched it.
I have.
You have? Of course you have. So I'll be reacting to it. I'll be talking with Chevy about it. And obviously in the comments, let us know what you think about it. So we got all new monsters already. One looked like it had a brain outside of its head. This place is kind of dank looking. Looks like bones.
Reminds me of the trash compactor.
Oh,
Star Wars.
Yeah. It's funny because like they show off the first area, it looked great. They show off the second area, it's really fantastic. It's fantastical and neat. And then this place is dirty looking. But it's cool because I didn't expect a place to look like this. Puff Bat! That was really cool. I love how they interact with each other. Like I just had his little neck drawn around. So some kind of ship?
Ooh. Arm wrestling. Social interactions. Glad they kept those.
That's cool. This game is gonna be so fucking fun. It's stupid.
Yeah, I gotta hurry up and get through some of my catalog before this comes out.
I've been knocking shit out, so I'm getting ready. Still gotta do our games of the year. What was that? Oh, something bigger.
Something big and hidden.
Place kind of remind me of hell. Oh, good. This is part of the trailer. I actually didn't put this in there. This fight looks just like her.
Pretty sure it is.
Yeah. I love it has a paw on its face.
For the eye?
Yeah. Again, Monster Hunter, it's fucking awesome looking. That new area is really neat. Like I said, it kind of reminds me of like Hell or like the Eclipse in Berserk. If you watch that, and if you haven't, you should. It's the best anime ever, in my opinion. Yeah, really neat. New monsters all are very fitting for that area. Place is creepy, which I think is really cool in contrast. Because like I said before, you have like the nice tropical place you'd expect, jungles for hunting, and then you have the other place, which is something none of us expected, some kind of floaty area with like pollen and puff bat, and then that area is bones and wet, slimy places and things crawling through fucking the ground.
It's like a dead swamp.
Yeah, pretty neat. What do you think?
It's awesome.
And the social features, that was cool.
Yeah, I'm glad they showed those because I mean I assumed they were going to be in there, and they probably showed them before. Someone will probably be like, "They showed them in this trailer." I missed it, but that's like half the fun with playing these faux MMOs is when they have social features. That's a huge part I loved about Phantasy Star. It was
because you feel like you're living in the game at that point. It's not just like let's go kill the thing. Okay, we killed it. We're done.
And it kind of breaks the monotony of just doing the same crap over and over again. You hop on, you're playing with friends, and you're like, well, I'm just going to, go do this thing. And all of a sudden, just because you start goofing off with each other, and then, a couple hours go by just from the social stuff in the game.
And it creates actual memories in the game, aside from, like, I did that mission and I won.
Yep.
Another thing, too, I like about social features as well is, like, in Phantasy Star and in Monster Hunter, when you're in town, people are doing different things. People are crafting things. They're off at a store. They're setting up missions. So when you're not doing that, someone, the leader is doing that, or somebody's off doing something like that. You're just standing around. So what better than to like be making food and eating it, or like arm wrestling, stuff like that. It's just stuff like that just kind of enhances the whole experience. So it is a small feature, but it's really cool to see that in the trailer. It just lets us know, hey, it's still here, it's still there.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to more crossover stuff.
Yeah,
as much as it's immersion breaking, it's neat, it's fun.
What's some other PS4 or crossovers would you like to see?
I mean, they could do the God of War stuff. That would work. Because they have
weapons from
the
God of War
daggers. Good lord, I can't talk right now. I'm trying to blank right now. Yeah, really, any of their first party IPs. I mean, even if they gave you like an outfit so you could look, like you're wearing Nathan Drake's clothes or whatever, or even if just your cat did.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that'd be awesome.
I mean,
Nathan Drake cat.
Because like in the 3DS, you could have a little, Mega Man cat running by, or Link or whatever, and it was fun. So I hope they do. I hope they do a lot of stuff like that. They already are known for that. I just hope they can communicate with the other team, first party developers for Sony, or even Microsoft and PC stuff. Like it would love to see it. Yeah, or even on PC, a lot of indie developer companies and stuff like that. So
like Bit Trip.
You can have a little Super Meat Boy running around with you.
Super Meat Boy, that'd be dope.
That'd be disgusting.
Just as long as they don't like do a crossover like Gran Turismo, that would make a whole lot of sense. Just have a fucking really nice car driving around near you.
Yeah, that'd be a little weird.
Yeah, it'd be pretty funny, but I wouldn't like it. Yeah, so last trailer. Also, let us know in the comments what you think about Monster Hunter. I'm sure you will, and we want to hear that because, I mean, our community is kind of building off of Monster Hunter, which is great. Last video is, of course, The Last of Us Part 2. This game, I am so fucking excited for. It's stupid. I don't have to see anything on it. I would buy it first day. I'm a huge fan of the first game. I remember playing it 20 minutes in when I first played it, and I just, in that moment, was like, this is one of my favorite games ever made. Instantly, I knew. And then I beat it like 6 times. Still love it to death. So, I can't wait for this to come out. We have watched this trailer, but we will be watching again. This is like my third, fourth time watching it. And then discussing some stuff with it, because there's already some theories coming out about what's going on in the trailer. Also worth noting, this might be based where we live, in Washington, which is really neat. The more I watch it, the more I'm pretty convinced it is in Seattle, which is pretty cool. So hopefully they do it justice. Let's watch this brutal ass trailer.
Yeah, you've been warned.
I remember this morning I just woke up, I look at my phone, I'm on Twitter real quick, and it's like Last of Us Part 2, I'm like, wait, is there like a picture that got released? And then it's like trailer, I'm like, fuck, and just like roll out of bed. Theme of tonight, this game is fucking gorgeous. Stupid fucking
The other
looking.
games are gorgeous, but this is
They're all
ridiculous.
great. They're all great, but this is. I remember I saw a picture of the chick's face for the trailer. I thought I was like, is there like a live action trailer for this? No, it just looks that good. So you got someone being dragged in the rain by some peeps. Even when her face is on the ground and she moves, her nose is like getting pushed by and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, their mocap team's ridiculous.
The way she's just so fucking good. Naughty Dog is like the most competent and capable, talented fucking company there is.
Yeah. They could literally just go to Sony and be like, hey, I got an idea for a game, and Sony would be like, here's a checkbook.
After Last of Us, they said they had 6 different ideas, and then they didn't know what they wanted to do. It's amazing too, because like Uncharted 4 was beautiful, and the newest one is great looking too, and this looks fucking way better.
Did you watch the interview?
No, not yet.
That they may know my
Fill in real quick. Basically, he had said in the interview that they, after making Uncharted 4, they had some time to refine and add new tech to the Naughty Dog engine. So
it shows the fire in the background, the smoke coming off at the embers, the rain. So obviously you have this group of people that we might or might not, they might have not been together at one point, but they've become kind of religious in the way they look at things. She's talking about clipping her wings, which is, you know, implying this might be have to do with the fireflies. A lot of people are speculating also that this is a flashback to a time post-outbreak, but earlier than like Joel and Ellie. All the small details. She goes to shoot her. She fucking grabs her.
I love there too. You hear her like trying to shoot her.
Yeah. Her face right here. Ugh. You see like life draining from her and shit.
Also, fun little note there. She used the body to slow her descent so she would break her neck.
Yeah. Well, she's probably trying to hold herself up there too, but the body's gonna collapse after a while, so. And this kid's just like looking at her like, I don't know what to do here. I'm not gonna help her.
Yara. Demons are coming.
They refer to clickers as demons, so
Cut her down.
it's either a different area with different people
She's
call
one of
things
them.
differently,
What?
or I think it's earlier on before names became established or standardized. Now it is being speculated that the person hanging there might be Ellie's mom, which would explain why they were getting ready to cut her open. Although there was other people hanging as well, but
That were
people
disemboweled.
have said they also were cut open. So it's kind of hard to tell. All I can tell is this chick is really fucking buff. She might be an MMA fighter. I love the sounds of the tension. He's saying that the demons are coming.
Watch your backs.
Look at her arms, man.
Yeah, she works out. It's horrifying. It's nighttime. The only light is by fire, and those fucking things come running out. Like,
and they don't need to see.
No. Yeah, exactly. That's the horrifying aspect. They're also moving like really fast, which they did run pretty quick in the original. But like, if it's like just when the outbreak like happened, they're gonna be pretty fresh. So
they did a good job explaining too in the first game the stages of the infection. And,
it's the spores.
And, how, you know, obviously when the body's fresher, they move faster, but as the infection goes, they get slower, but they also become they become bloaters eventually, obviously. But so they don't move as fast, but they just become tanks essentially at that point. So
well, and they also like, it always seemed like when you fought the more zombie typed ones early on, they would just be more violent, but the clickers would actually like rip your throat out and shit. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know really what else I can say about this. It looks amazing. I need it now. I'm really excited. I do believe when people are theorizing that this is like a flashback or whatever, probably is. It seems like it is. It does kind of look like Washington, which I think it would be really neat to see.
The trees, the rain. I know there was some pictures you had shown me about like a tunnel on a street sign too. Yeah, that match up actual streets in Seattle. So it'd be really neat to see that Naughty Dog touch on an area that we know pretty well. It's cool to see new characters. Obviously, everybody wants to see Joel and Ellie, but it's cool to see it expanding and introducing new people. Because The Last of Us, they even said originally, if they made a sequel, they didn't know if they wanted to go with Joel and Ellie again. They might want to have other people in a new area, you know, with a different story, which I would have been fine with, even though I do love the dynamic between Joel and Ellie. So it'd be hard to say goodbye to them. So it seems like we're getting a little bit of both, which is cool. Well, I think it's great. And it also is funny because going back to when we were talking about Spider-Man, almost like not in this case, I'm not passing the torch as much as like, you know, but getting to play as two different perspectives, especially if it is like the present and the past, and maybe it'll do like a Tarantino thing and bounce around type thing,
which is not something they have that would be new to them, because in the first one you play as his daughter right in the beginning, and that is a flashback. So it's right up their alley. They've already done it. All I know is this game is going to be fucking amazing. It's going to be a masterpiece. It's looking fantastic. I have a lot of questions about the girl who's being hung, because there's a lot of things to speculate there. I'm also curious on why she's so buff, but I guess if it is a post-apocalyptic situation, you're probably going to want to, stay busy and
but
stay strong.
She specifically is buff. Like the other two, well, the one's wearing a jacket, so that's not fair. But
I've already said too, and a couple other people, like, that she seems really tall, but we don't know how old those people are.
Yeah.
That like Asian kid, like, he looks like a kid to me.
Yeah.
That Yar chick looks pretty young too. So she might be taller than them just because she's an adult. It's just confusing because she's like jacked and tall. So like people are saying like she's like, 7 feet tall or something like that. And I don't think that's the case.
She just got good genetics, man.
Or she's working out to stay alive.
Yeah.
Any last words on any of those things that we watched?
No. I do have some honorable mentions if you guys have time to watch some more PGW 2017 stuff. There was
Spelunky 2.
Not Spelunky 2.
Finally making it.
We talked about it at the beginning, Quantic Dream game.
Oh, Detroit,
yeah.
Become Human.
You should check that out.
Definitely.
It is neat. I love the perspective. I also love the tone, like the subject matter is a touchy one to be putting in a game anyways. So I appreciate them not being shy about that.
Bold, yeah, it's ballsy.
Yeah. There is a top-down game that is similar to like Hotline Miami in the way it looks like it plays, except for it's like a Chinese wuxia movie type thing, and it's fully rendered 3D.
Not wuxia.
Not wuxia. Right.
Oh God, I forgot the name of it, but it's like a John Woo movie.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Check that out. And if you have PSVR, they showed a couple PSVR games that actually look pretty cool. So
yeah. Plus, they're adding something to, or it's like DLC for Resident Evil 7 or whatever. So if you're into that, which I know a lot of people really liked that game, it's going to have a whole new character and story and perspective. So
one more. They showed, it was like a 54 second trailer for the DLC for Horizon, which comes out very soon. That showed off a lot of new robots, even just for a brief second. So
a lot of pissed off ones. Yeah, I was gonna watch that, but that's coming out really soon. I'm sure we'll be covering it again before it comes out.
But that's what I got.
Yeah, check those out. I just wanted to kind of hit on the big ones. And yeah, let us know in the comments what you think about any of these games. You're excited for any of them. You should be excited for all of them. And yeah, if there's any of them that we missed that you guys would like us to go back and watch, let us know. We'll do it. And that's going to do it for this longer episode of Tasty Tuesday / TLG Reacts. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr and Twitter, Tasty Loot Gaming. Check out the streams on the channel if you missed them. They're uploaded. Chris is on Twitch at Tasty_fruit. And my name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
Until next episode, which hopefully will be Friday. If we keep getting videos coming out, we might have to do another reaction video. But yeah, until that, have a good week, guys, and take it easy.